Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Becca Parker. I'm a weather and radar meteorologist here that I'm going to be going over the forecast update today for the second or third, however you count it. Still got another winter storm going on this week, and we're closing out the week with another winter storm right now, bringing heavy snow to the Midwest and upper Midwest and a little bit of the northern plains, and then severe weather across the southern US today as well. And what you see behind me is kind of what they're seeing in the upper Midwest. This was early this morning, just north of Milwaukee. And you can see on the table out there, they were having close to a foot, if not already a foot of snow, and they can expect this to continue through tomorrow with blizzard conditions too. So we are seeing a lot of this happen across the upper Midwest. Flights have been grounded, and areas are really having trouble with even traveling or commutes or anything like that. And a lot of schools have also closed for the day. So no surprise there as far as school closures and people having trouble getting around. So with this heavy snow, it's a great day to just stay in, have some hot chocolate, and watch the weather radar and watch our live with us so that we can give you the latest updates and information on where the storm's headed, how much longer it's going to last, and we'll go from there. Let me bring up what this storm currently looks like on the weather radar. All right, perfect. So the weather radar is currently showing this large snow system across the northern flank of this whole system, and then we've got the heavier rain side on its southern flank. I just want to double check some technical items here. Should be good to go before we head into the more nitty gritty of the details, so that we can get you the latest updates. Okay, awesome. So you'll see a chat box right on the right side of this live, or maybe down below, however you're watching this. Feel free to drop any of your questions that you do have throughout this live, because we're going to be detailing a lot of items. And if you've got any specific questions about this storm and if it's going to impact you as it moves west to east throughout the weekend, please drop them in the chat, because I'll be checking those throughout this live. So let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details of this storm system. So what you see behind me here, this is the weather radar, and you can see in the pink here, in the dark pinks, we're seeing a lot of heavy snowfall in the northern flank here, stretching from the central plains and then places like Lincoln, Nebraska, and just north of Wichita, Kansas, all the way up into the upper Great Lakes. And it's pretty chilly here too. So behind this system, we're going to be talking about a cool down as well. And by cool down, I mean wintry cool down. And that means temperatures in the single digits. We've got wind chills well below zero going to be coming into the central plains, even reaching down into the southern plains over the next several days. So stay tuned for that. I'll be going over those details here soon. Let me just double check something here. So yeah, that storm system is large and is really probably taking up a lot of your screen when you're looking at the weather radar as you're going over it on the app. Let me pull this down. Perfect. So yes, this snow has been happening since yesterday, late evening last night, all the way through this morning. And many are seeing the impacts here across the area. So let's talk about that snowy side first. So you see here we have the lighter snowfalls in the lighter pink hues, and then the darker pink it gets, the heavier snowfall we've got. And this area is going to be experiencing blizzard conditions as the winds do pick up throughout the day. Let me bring up what the wind radar looks like right now. Those of you who are already out there, you're probably feeling it. There's probably a lot of gusty winds starting to pick up in the area. And you can see it right here on the wind radar. We've got gusty winds in the 40-mile-an-hour range across the upper Midwest, and getting into, you can see the low pressure too right here. Isn't that neat? You can see it here right on the wind radar. You can see that low pressure right here across central Illinois here, that counterclockwise churn. So that's that low pressure. That's that main low pressure system that is creating this whole storm system. And that's sitting right over Illinois right now. And we can see these gusty winds really picking up across the lake here, across Lake Michigan, Chicago, 45-mile-an-hour gusts, in the upper 30-mile-an-hour gusts in Indianapolis, 40s. But then as you get a little further south, things are picking up. We'll get into that in a moment, because that's the heavy rain and severe weather side of this story. So Gusty winds are really going to cause whiteout situations for areas that are receiving those heavy snowfall rates this afternoon through the night and even through tomorrow morning as the storm system does move eastward. So what that means is stay indoors if you can. If you do have to commute this afternoon, plan to take it slow. Give yourself some extra time, give yourself that grace so that you can, really get home safely and, be safe on the roadways as well. Expect some delays. So because this storm system is really going to be causing some issues with commutes, with travel. And the best thing you can do is take your time and then avoid routes that are closed, right? Because those are going to be popping up all over the highways if there's areas that are snow covered that are going to be really difficult to navigate. So be aware of that. Give yourself that extra time and stay close to your weather and radar apps so that you get those alerts if you need it. And you can look at all the live updates we've got going on right at the top of the app for this storm system. Let's go into the rainy side of this system, the rainy and severe weather side. So on the southern flank, temperatures are too warm for snow, but you can get rain from this system as it pulls up plentiful moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico here. And this is really tapping into all of that moisture that is really moving across the area. You can see heavy rain moving here across the western Ohio Valley and down into the Midwest, all the way down here into the lower deep south here. So we have rainfall happening across that area and some lightning happening. So this area, I'll point out exactly where, but this area is in a slight risk for severe weather today. What that means is isolated to scattered severe weather to level 2 out of 5 on the severity scale. And you can see some storms that are kicking up here. So possible tornadoes, damaging wind gusts, and hail, all from this storm system. So be on the lookout if you're down here, and many of you have already seen the activity from this morning. There was a tornado watch active right across this area here, and we were seeing some tornado activity from the storm system moving across the area. So those of you who are in the southeast and getting into, southern Georgia, even to Florida, this is going to be causing issues well through the afternoon and even to the overnight hours. The reason why I point out the overnight hours, you're thinking like maybe, you'll be asleep and you can miss it. Cool. At the same time, though, if there's a severe storm coming through your area overnight, the only thing about it is, yes, you're not on the road, so that's great. But you want to make sure you have at least 3 ways to receive weather warnings for those kinds of situations, because nocturnal storms can cause one more item, and that's the fact that you can't see any tornadoes or any hazards that are out there. If you've got damaging winds blowing stuff around, you can't see it. If you got a tornado, you can't see it unless you got the lightning strike. And at that point, is it too close for you, to even be out there? So that adds that extra hazard for overnight storms. And let's take a look at what that looks like throughout the rest of this afternoon into the evening. You can see the line of storms and showers move well into the southeast as we go about this afternoon. This is 3 p.m. Eastern. This is going to continue through the evening hours as well. And it's going to reach down to Florida here. You're getting that tail end of the front later this evening. This is about 9 o'clock Eastern time, and getting into the Carolinas as well. So you're going to be seeing some heavy rain rates across this area as well. We've got a marginal to a slight risk of excessive rainfall across the area that reaches up from the Carolinas all the way into the mid-Atlantic. Those of you who were around here in the East Coast just earlier this week, and even over the weekend, we had a heavy rainfall across this area, and the recent rainfall can saturate the ground. And because it really hasn't had time to dry up or anything like that, it can cause flash flooding issues quicker because the water doesn't really have anywhere to go, especially in areas that do not take on rainfall very easily. So you got areas that you know of that do get flash flooding pretty easily, even in just like a quick downpour. Expect more of that this weekend, this evening, and into tomorrow as the storm system sweeps through. Let me show what the overnight looks like just for those of you who are going to be in the area overnight tonight, and you can see what this storm is really going to be all about. This is getting into the evening hours, about dinner time, and this is just after dinner time. This heavy rain moves through across the East Coast here, getting some storm activity here across Florida as well into the Tampa area as that front does move through. So expect delays this evening if you're heading out. I know it's Friday night, so if you're heading out, just be weather aware for any plans that you do have: rain boots, raincoat, umbrella, things like that. Just have that with you. Have your alerts switched on for anything that should come through later this afternoon, so you're well prepared for that kind of situation. For the snowy side, this is just going to continue. So those of you that I was talking about for the upper Midwest, how we're going to be seeing stuff through tomorrow afternoon. Well, this is just 11 o'clock tonight, Central Time. And this node really continues to just blast across the area. And this is going to be blizzard conditions. Let's take a look at how the winds are acting up this evening and overnight as the storm system does move down across the area. Yeah, you've got 40-mile-an-hour gusts, 30-mile-an-hour gusts. That's enough to pick up snow and send it flying across the road so you can't see much. Either you can't see the cars in front of you or you can't see the road because the road is snow covered. So it can cause a lot of issues. So those of you that are in this area, you know how to deal with this, right? This is the upper Midwest. We get snow up here all the time. But just take those extra precautions. If you do need to be out and about, take it slow. Otherwise, you know what you're doing in your homes when snow does come through. Just hunker down and stay cozy until it moves out so that we can have a safe weekend. All right, let us take a look at the weather map here. So this storm system is really going to be causing issues for just about everybody in the eastern 2/3 of the U.S. Let me bring this over so that you can see. This is from the National Weather Service. This is the current warning and advisories map. It's busy. And it's kind of looked like this all week. If any of you have been paying attention to the advisory and warnings map, it's kind of looked like this all week. And we've got a little bit of everything going on here. Everything except for tropical, right? So that's good. So what we're looking at here is the warning and advisory map. And we have got everything from this storm is going to be in this area here eastward. So we have everything from winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings in the pink here, blizzard warnings across Iowa in the reddish orange here. And then that reaches all the way up here into the upper Midwest where you got your winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories as well. This brownish color stretching from Texas all the way to Vermont, we've got wind advisories and high wind warnings coming from the system too. Those of you, again, we had the winter storm here earlier this week, and that caused wind gusts to pick up right after the storm moved through. It's going to continue. And we're going to be getting those winds again this week. So those of you who have your holiday decorations up, they're still up. Maybe this is the weekend to take them down after the windstorm, right? Just so they're not flying everywhere. Nothing gets damaged in your home or anything like that. So these winds are really going to be gusting through the weekend, and we're going to be seeing that, as the storm does pass. But right behind it, we have a grayish blue color here. What this means is we have some really cold temperatures moving in. And we've got wind chill advisories as well as wind chill warnings across the northern high plains all the way down into the central plains. And we're seeing wind chill watches as well here across the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, well into Oklahoma here and into southern Kansas. So we've got some cold air, the coldest air of the season so far, coming down. Nothing like December 2022. Those of you who were in this area, freezing. With very dangerous wind chills across this area. And that was unfortunately a very deadly situation. This is not that bad. This still is dangerous though, because we do have wind chills that are going to be getting down across the northern high plains. Let's take a look at what the wind chills are going to be, because areas that are, you have outdoor animals, outdoor plants, one, you already know what to expect in the wintertime, right? You're that far north, so you know what you're dealing with. But at the same time, let's double check to see what these wind chill warnings are really detailing, just so you can be well prepared for this area. All right, wind chills as low as 55 below zero, which sounds pretty unimaginable, and really going to need to stay safe, bundle up, and bring any sensitive animals and plants indoors. Make sure they have shelter. Make sure you have shelter. Then you can stay safe through this event because it's really going to get cold. So be sure to really pay attention to those temperatures and wind chills in your area. The faster the wind gusts, the more biting it feels, right? So you feel that in the winter, and this is really going to kick up. These are the coldest temperatures so far this season, coming down from the Arctic and blasting into the central U.S. So really pay attention to that. And those of you who are in the east and then across the Tennessee, Mississippi, Ohio valleys, you're not out of the situation. So it is going to be cold as the air mass does move eastward. So we're going to be watching that later this weekend and into next week. You're going to be seeing those colder temperatures move in, coldest of the season so far. So that is what this storm is bringing down. So if you think about it, in the higher altitudes of the atmosphere, let me bring back the wind radar here, just so we can take a look at what I'm trying to, the information I'm trying to give you here. Let me make sure my map is working too. There we go. So we've got a low pressure system. I've mentioned that before. It's sitting right here across the area of the Midwest here in central Illinois. What that does here, we have an upper level low pressure as well. It's called a low pressure trough, and that also has a counterclockwise circulation. What that does, if we've got a counterclockwise circulation across this entire area, think of the higher altitudes of the atmosphere, that pulls down plenty of cold air from the northern latitudes and even from the Arctic. And that pours into the US. And that's why we're going to be getting those colder temperatures after this storm system does move through. So think about that, is where, you know, these temperatures have to come from somewhere, and they're coming from the Arctic and Canadian plateau, or Canadian prairies, I'm sorry, as the low pressure trough in the upper atmosphere does churn. So keep that in mind on, when you're wondering where these are coming from. That's exactly what's happening here. It's just the atmosphere is pulling down that those cold temperatures for that cold air mass coming through. That's why we're going to be seeing those really dangerous wind chills across the area. So bundle up, stay warm, really pay attention and heed those warnings. Being outside can be very dangerous in those kind of wind chills. So really heed those warnings. I'm going to double check for any questions before we wrap up here. Perfect. And I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. We have the severe weather outlook that I'm going to bring up now so that we can take a look at that. So like I said earlier, we have a slight risk really going across the deep south into the Carolinas and southeast. And that's what this looks like here. So as this storm system does sweep across to the east, we're going to be seeing some isolated to scattered severe weather activity across the area. And you have a tool at your disposal right on the WeatherRadar app. You have your lightning radar. The lightning radar does not only pop up on the weather radar, so you can see those lightning, the lightning dots, but you have the lightning radar as well just by itself, so you can see where these storms are, and you see them pop up in real time. You see the lightning bolts in real time. That pops up so that you can see which way the storm system is moving and where these lightning bolts are happening, so that you can see if you're going to be in an area that is going to be impacted by thunderstorms or maybe even a severe thunderstorm. We do have the possibility for some isolated tornado activity across this area. Don't be surprised if you see anything spin up in your area, and just be aware as these storm systems do come through. Wind gusts greater than 57 miles per hour are possible in the most severe storms. Not only do we have the wind gusts that are just sticking around from the storm system in general, but any higher wind gusts can come from these storms as well as the front is sweeping through. So really pay attention if you've got things that are outside that need to be tethered or brought inside, so that they're not, they don't become they don't do any damage outdoors or to you or to anybody else or to your home. Bring those in if you can, prior to this coming, because that'll be very helpful for you and for your neighborhood as well. Well, we also see an isolated chance for hail across this area as well, at least quarter size, as these storms do move through. So that includes Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina, and up to Raleigh, North Carolina. This whole metro area is going to be seeing the possibility for that severe weather. So really pay attention. I know it's Friday night, you got plans. So you want to pay attention to the weather radar so that you have the latest updates at your fingertips so you know what's coming. You don't want to be outside in that. All right, let me double check for any questions before I sign out. Yes, the cold temperatures. So we can take a look at what we show on the temperature radar so you can at least get an idea of how long the temperatures are supposed to stay that cold in your area. So let me pull that up for you. The temperature radar is also available on your app. So you'll be able to see this whenever you think of it. And you can see a 4-day forecast right on the map as well, so that you can get an idea of how long those temperatures are going to be sticking around. Whew, all right, we're getting into those cold temperatures now. This is what it looks like across the northern high plains. It's negative 13 degrees in Billings, Montana, negative 7 in Bismarck, North Dakota. I know everybody that lives there is probably used to this, or if you just moved there, congratulations, you're now experiencing the cold weather that is in the northern high plains. But this is not out of the ordinary for the area. However, we are going to be seeing even just colder wind chills. So this is what it looks like now, and we're going to be seeing this progress over the next 4 days. So let's bring you into the future here as the temperatures do come down and spill into the central US. Let's take a look at the overnight here. This is getting into this is central time. This is 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock central time. You see those negatives reaching down here into the central plains. You got the 20s here getting into the southern plains. And these aren't wind chills. These are just outdoor temperatures. So wind chills are even colder than what that outdoor temperature is. So let's take a look at the coldest point for tomorrow's low temperature getting across this area. Right before sunrise is your coldest temperature of the day, usually on average. So what that looks like for the Central Plains tomorrow is -25 across Billings, Montana, -22 in Bismarck. We've got 1 degree in Wichita, and then into 20s into Oklahoma City, 30s all the way reaching down into San Antonio and Houston. So those cold temperatures are reaching in. You've got 0 in Des Moines. This is 13 in St. Louis, and those 20s are creeping in across even the Ohio, Tennessee, and Mississippi Valley here too. So you're already seeing those cold temperatures moving in tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at what the rest of tomorrow looks like. As we do warm up at least a little bit throughout the day, but at the nighttime, obviously, we do get the colder temperatures coming in. So let's take a look at how it digs deeper throughout the nighttime. We can see just how much it digs deeper. You can already see the changes here across the southern plains. Oklahoma City, 9 o'clock tomorrow, 8 degrees. Getting down into the teens and just below freezing here in Dallas, but negatives here across the Central Plains and digging even further south and east as this moves through. Chicago, you're looking at 6 degrees tomorrow night by 9 o'clock just after dinner. And that's going to be continuing to reach down. And this is that low pressure. If we want to think about that counterclockwise circulation in the atmosphere, that's looking like this. The counterclockwise circulation, you can see why these temperatures are moving down from the north and northwest, because we got that counterclockwise circulation pulling it down. And that's why those are coming in. Sunday, let's take a look at that, just how cold we do get on Sunday. So those 30s are reaching all the way down into southern Texas. You got the mid 20s here across San Antonio. This is 2 o'clock central time. So this is about your high for the day on Sunday. And you're seeing those cold temperatures move even further south and east across the area as well. So really going to be some chilly, chilly days here coming up over the next 4 days. And just to give you a look, let's peek at Monday. Again, you can see this right on your app. You got the next 4 days to be able to look at this. And it does update so that you can see the latest information. This is Monday at noon Central Time. Look how cold it is here across the area. So you've got negatives here across the northern plains, and then the upper Midwest, you got the negatives. You're right in the purple. And you've got the single digits reaching all the way down into the central plains, and then 20s and 30s into the southern plains as well. This is on Monday afternoon. Lunchtime here across the central plains, 20s, 30s across here in the southeast. However, you got the teens reaching in, even the single digits across the Midwest. These are going to continue over the next several days, and we do expect to see eventually the temperatures do come back up as things will be replaced with a high pressure. And what that will mean is we've got some warmer air coming up from the south eventually. So at least through Monday, we are looking at cold, below average temperatures, wind chills, very dangerous wind chills. So be sure to just keep an eye out for that. And it's winter, right? It's January. So this is the thing that winter likes to do. So we've got those cold temperatures. Just be sure to bundle up, get your favorite blanket, get your favorite hot chocolate, and we go through it. It's winter. So be sure to just stay safe, stay indoors, stay warm. And if you think of anybody that needs to be warm, your neighbors, anybody make sure to check on them. Any elderly around the area as well, just check on them as we do go through this cold snap, for the coldest one of the winter so far. Alrighty. If I don't have any more questions, thank you all so much for joining me. We are closing this live out for today. I hope you enjoyed it and got the information that you needed for this winter storm and then for the next couple of days as we go through this cold weather outbreak. Thank you so much. I'm Weather and Radar Meteorologist Becca Parker. We're updating all day on the app, so be sure to check in there. Thank you so much.